So, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin will meet in Alaska on Friday. After reading the Russian papers this morning, the press here seems to be putting out two main messages. The first is that Europe and Ukraine are being sidelined from discussions. The second message is that if for any reason the summit doesn't happen or if it doesn't lead to peace, then Ukraine and Europe are to blame. In other words, the stage is being set already for Russia to say to Donald Trump, look, your efforts to achieve peace are being sabotaged, not by Moscow, but by Ukraine and Europe. It's unclear how successful that would be. The front page of Izvestia today, the presidential program, what kind of an agreement could Russia and the US reach on Ukraine, and who has already begun work on derailing the historic meeting between Putin and Trump in Alaska. The EU and NATO will do everything to try to prevent an agreement on ending the Ukraine conflict. The head of the Federation Council's Foreign Affairs Committee, Grigory Karasin, told Izvestia. The politician stressed that the Putin-Trump meeting fully contradicts the plans of the EU and NATO. Is Russia ready for compromise? There's no suggestion of that in the Izvestia article. Russia, which has survived tens of thousands of sanctions and seen unprecedented military assistance going to Ukraine, is unlikely to cede ground. Most likely, stopping the conflict on Russia's terms will be on the table. Kommersant. The choice of venue for the August 15th summit, a place far away from third parties, speaks volumes. Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump intend to agree among themselves first and only then submit common proposals to Kiev. The front page of the Russian government paper Rossiyskaya Gazeta, why Alaska is a suitable place for the Russian and American presidents to meet. Further away from Europe and closer to peace. The writer explains, for me, Alaska isn't just the state where Presidents Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump will meet on August the 15th. I know the place inside out from the air. It's a living symbol of the historical connection between Russia and America. Only 85 kilometers, the width of the Bering Strait, separates Alaska from Chukotka, closer than Moscow is from Tver. This land, sold by Alexander II for a pittance, $7.2 million in gold, has now become a shield from prying ears. Here there are no British spies, Ukrainian agents, or European well-wishers eager to disrupt the dialogue. Only the wind howling through Mount McKinley and killer whales in the ocean blue. The Russian president's flight will take only a few hours, without the risk of flying over hostile territories. What's on the line? Ending the conflict in Ukraine, yes. Strategic stability, yes. But one of the most important issues, it seems to me, is the Arctic, the joint extraction of resources on the disputed shelves, as well as new routes of the Northern Sea route under the control of Russian icebreakers. Same paper, Russia and America one-on-one, the rest of the world fascinated by what's happening up on stage. Moscow is not considering the option of including Zelensky in the talks and intends to concentrate on making sure the bilateral meeting is successful and produces results. It's clear the Europeans and the Ukrainians are making a conscious effort to torpedo any agreement between Moscow and Washington by making unacceptable demands ahead of time. Moskovsky Komsomolets. The president of Russia is meeting with the president of the United States in the United States, and the next meeting is planned on Russian territory, and the corresponding invitation to the President of the United States has already been issued. So much for Russia being isolated. By choosing Alaska as the venue for their meeting, the two leaders are demonstratively isolating Europe, together with Ukraine, from decision-making. A Zugzwang, in chess, is when any move you make worsens your position. Putin and Trump will present a proposal. If Kiev agrees to it, perhaps the regime will be changed peacefully. If it doesn't agree, Trump will turn away from Ukraine once and for all and abandon it. Alaska, well away from this madhouse, is a good place for calm negotiations. Nezavisime Gazeta's headline, US allies fear that Alaska will become the new Yalta. Leaders of leading NATO countries and the EU warn. Ukraine's fate cannot be decided without Ukraine and Europe. The paper concedes there's a lot we don't know about what will happen in Alaska. Nothing is known at all about what proposals the two sides are going into these talks with. What exactly do they plan to agree on? Will Ukraine become the only topic of conversation between the two leaders, or will it be only part of some US-Russian agreements? Will Putin and Trump discuss lifting sanctions, at least the few that the US president has the right to lift himself? Alas, today, even the leading politicians of the West don't appear to know the answers to these and many other questions in relation to the upcoming negotiations, which cannot but worry them.